וושינגטון רק על פי אמת מידה אחת. האם ההסכם הזה יקדם אותו בביצוע המהלך השלם כולו, שמשמעותו בסופו של דבר יציאה מהשטחים הכבושים, הקמתה של מדינה פלסטינאית וחיים בשלום?
شو بتعملوا فيه؟ بتشربوا ميته وخلص ببطل؟
شهداء بالملايين.
التي كان آخرها مصادقة المجلس البلدي في القدس على إقامة حيا استيطانيا للإسرائيليين على مساحة قدرها 13 دنم ونصف في قلب منطقة رأس العمود، والتي تقع في الجهة الجنوبية الشرقية من مدينة القدس.
إما أن يكون هناك سلاما شاملا في الشرق الأوسط، وشرطه الآن أن تكون القدس هي مدينة مفتوحة تضم عاصمتين. إننا من هنا نقول لكل الإسرائيليين بأن أمامكم أحد خيارين: إما أن تكون إسرائيل دولة هامشية غير هامة من أوروبا، أو أن تكون دولة هامة في الشرق الأوسط. إما أن تكون القدس العاصمة الأبدية لإسرائيل المعزولة، أو أن تكون القدس هي العاصمة للدولتين، وبالتالي هي واحدة من أهم عواصم الشرق الأوسط.
פלסטין.
Last year, my friends and I founded a new peace movement called the Peace Bloc, Gush Shalom, because we found that it is necessary to have a peace movement which is ready to criticize the Rabin government when it does things which we think are wrong. And as one of the members of this peace movement, I've taken part in, during the last year, in many demonstrations, such as against the deportation of Palestinians, against the closure of the occupied territories, against creation of new Jewish settlements in East Jerusalem, against the massacre in Hebron lately, and so on. Well, since the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, I've been convinced that we will not achieve peace if the Palestinian people does not achieve its independence and a state of its own. This has always been my conviction. After the 6 Days War in 1967, when I was member of the Knesset, I've called for the immediate creation of a state of Palestine side by side with the state of Israel. And in 1974, in the end of 1973 actually, after the so-called Yom Kippur War, I got the first indication that Yasser Arafat is ready to recognize Israel and to make peace based on the partition of this country. I immediately thought to create contact with the PLO leadership, and in 1974 I succeeded in creating the first contact with high-ranking PLO officials, and since then these contacts are constant. I've met many Palestinian leaders many times, and in 1972, during the siege of Beirut by the Israeli army, I crossed the lines and met Yasser Arafat for the first time personally in Beirut. I'm witness to the fact that Yasser Arafat had decided already at the end of 1973 to follow the line which is now becoming manifest, namely to make peace with Israel based on mutual recognition and the creation of a Palestinian state. I regret that it took 20 years and more to put this into effect.
What's your idea about settlement? You think all the settlement must withdraw?
Most certainly. Most certainly. There's absolutely no place for settlement in a situation of peace, because people must realize it's not a question whether Israelis or Jews can live in a Palestinian state. Why not? If the Palestinians want to have them, why not? But these settlements did not come to live in a Palestinian state. They went there in order to prevent the Palestinian state. That's their whole mission, is to prevent the peace, to prevent the Palestinian state, to prevent Israeli withdrawal from the occupied territories, and they are acting every day, in every way, to make this impossible. This is number one. Secondly, they are sitting on Arab land, using Arab water, taking away the basis of life for the Palestinian people who today have left a very little territory, and to try to take away this little territory, which is the basis of the life of the Palestinian people, I think it's impossible for anyone to accept. I wouldn't accept it if I were a Palestinian.
About the solution of border questions, yes, what is a reasonable border, you think?
Well, the only border which is possible is the border, so-called Green Line, which is the border which was established during the war of 1948. It's not a good border. Very few nations except Japan have a good border, because very few nations are islands. Borders are borders, but this border is acceptable because both sides have got used to it. It's a natural border today, because on the one side there live the vast majority of Palestinians, on the other side there live the vast majority of Israelis, and therefore it's more or less accepted by everyone, even if here and there perhaps 1 kilometer should be changed here or there.
So how about the refugees in Lebanon? Yes, how can solve it?
Well, the refugees, first of all, this is terrible human tragedy, and it must be abolished. Now, there is a very old United Nations resolution since 1948, which says that every refugee should be offered the free choice between compensation and repatriation. I still believe that this is the right solution. The day after the massacre in Hebron, maybe on the same day, you just should have sent in the army and taken all the settlers out of Hebron immediately. Everybody would have understood this. Everybody would have said it's the right decision, it's a courageous decision, it's the right decision, it's an unavoidable decision after what happened. And now he even yesterday even said that he's not going to take out any settlers from Hebron, not even putting them together in one place, which means you have Hebron today. In Hebron today you have, I believe, more than 2,000 soldiers guarding 500 settlers. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, even in money terms, it's crazy. You have 4 or 5 soldiers guarding every single settler, and I'm paying for it. It's crazy.
Some people said that Rabin and Peres want to make Palestine like Bantustan.
First of all, I would separate between Rabin and Peres. I think Mr. Peres has, during the last 1 or 2 years, become quite different from what we know him. He has very advanced ideas today. He's come a very long way. Mr. Rabin, I don't believe that Mr. Rabin knows what a Bantustan is, but what he has in mind may be very close to Bantustan actually. I think, let's put it this way, anyone who is making decisions today must have back in his mind at least some idea what the permanent solution would look like. Now I think that Mr. Peres has accepted more or less our solution, a Palestinian state alongside Israel. He doesn't say so, but I believe from private conversations here and there, I believe this is more or less what he has in mind. Mr. Rabin has not accepted it. Mr. Rabin really believes that maybe he sometimes speaks of something which he calls cantons. I don't think he quite knows what a canton is. It definitely does not mean anything like Switzerland, but he may have in mind something like this, a few Palestinian areas, separate Palestinian areas, 3, 4 in Palestine, under Palestinian autonomy, maybe more than autonomy, but without statehood, without a real government with real defense, real foreign relations, something less than independence. I believe that this is more or less what Rabin has in mind. Today you can call it Bantustan. The trouble is that what happens in the meantime, because if you have the wrong concept for the permanent solution, then your decisions today are wrong. Because you, instead of going this direction, you go in that direction, or that direction. And then you're making wrong decisions, and we see every day wrong decisions. Going on killing Palestinian activists, including Fatah activists, is crazy. Shooting 6, the other day, shooting 6 Palestinian activists who in 2 or 3 weeks should be the people with whom we cooperate. I mean, going on as if nothing has happened. It's crazy. Not releasing the Palestinian prisoners. It's crazy. Because these are the people with whom you must cooperate tomorrow if you want really this peace process to go to happen. So there's the closure which is still going on. It's terrible. It's terrible. People don't realize how terrible it is for the Palestinian population. Who are not really starving, but very, very close to starving. Attacking Arab neighborhoods with tanks, with missiles, in order to kill 1 or 2 or 3 activists, or even call them terrorists if you want. But to kill 3 terrorists, to shoot 100 missiles into Arab houses, as they did the other day in Hebron, it's crazy. It's crazy in this situation where you believe that you are going to make, that you are in the process of making peace with these very people, with the Palestinians. It's a government which is, I wrote somewhere that it's a war between the Minister of Defense and the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is doing one thing and the Minister of Defense something else, but it happens to be the same person, of course. Some people believe there will be a joint Israeli-Palestinian economy, and Israel will help the Palestinians to create an economy, international money will come in, and so on. Shimon Peres was dreaming about this Israeli-Palestinian cooperation throughout the Middle East, working towards a united Middle Eastern market, and so on. But the Palestinians are afraid that this will mean only a different kind of occupation. That will be Israeli domination to such an extent that the Palestinians will be the unskilled laborers in the Israeli economy.
מה, אתה מתנגד, נכון?
בטח שאני מתנגד.
מה אתה חושב?
שאלוהים ייקח אותה בגלל הישים בנישואים כמונו.
Is a struggle against the occupation. We deeply believe that Israel should have never stayed in the West Bank after 1967, and we believe that the occupation has continued all these years despite the so-called peace process in its different phases. And we know that the situation in the West Bank is only getting worse economically, that Israel is using its force in more sophisticated ways, preventing people the right of movement, the right to education, the right of going in and out of their country, arbitrarily arresting people. Still these days people are stopped at checkpoints, people are held in custody for 3, 4, 5 months without being brought to trial. And we think that the end of the occupation is the first step in the way to peace and not the last.
כל אנשים בשחור וכל הקבוצות המפגרות האלה, בבקשה. די לטבח, די לרצח של העם היהודי, יא בטטות, חוצפנים, תתביישו לכם. איפה הישראליות, איפה השורשים? חלרות, חלרות!
היום, ביום של פיגוע נורא, הגענו לפה, לקו הירוק, בו כדי לציין שלפני 35 שנה הפכה ישראל ממדינה צודקת למדינה כובשת. אני נולדתי כמה חודשים לפני הכיבוש. לכן, כמו ישראלים ופלסטינים רבים אחרים, לא זכיתי להכיר את מדינת ישראל האחרת, את המדינה שאנחנו רוצים באמת. זאת המשוחררת מהיותה מדינה כובשת, משוחררת מההשלכות הנוראות של הכיבוש. מאז, כל ממשלות ישראל, משמאל ומימין, אימצו וגיבו את מדיניות ההתנחלויות שהובילו קבוצה קטנה ופנאטית, והיום הפכה לנחלתם של יותר מ250,000 איש, כמו חלק מהאנשים שחיים פה. עם השנים, הקו הירוק, במקום להפוך לגבול הבינלאומי בין מדינת ישראל ובין מדינת פלסטין, הפכה לקו טשטוש. קו המטשטש בין ההגיוני למטורף, המטשטש בין ישראל ובין ההתנחלויות הבלתי חוקיות, המטשטש בין ביטחון לשלום. לשר המלחמה שלנו, שרון, אשר לפני 20 שנה הוביל אותנו ללבנון, למלחמה עקובה מדם ובלתי צודקת, ולפואד בן אליעזר, הסנצ'ו פנצ'ו של שרון. מפה אנחנו קוראים לכם, לאוזניכם הערלות, די לדם, די לאלימות, די לכיבוש. מפה אנחנו טובים גבול מוסכם עכשיו.
השכנים הנחמדים שלנו באורנית, שכנינו יפי הנפש שבאים אלינו לחנויות, מחייכים ובאים לבתים. על כל פיגוע אנחנו ניטע עץ זית, ועל כל צעקה גם נעשה ככה, כי זו התשובה היחידה שתהיה לנו לכולם. אנחנו הצודקים, אנחנו הצודקים. היום אנחנו שומעים את הצעקות שלהם, מחר הם יתחננו אלינו, תבואו, כי אנחנו שיוצאים לשטח וקובעים את העובדות.
ישראלים ופלסטינים בירושלים, פרטים נוספים ינתנו בהמשך. אני מודה לכל מי שהגיע הנה מרחוק רחוק, להתראות בשנה הבאה. להתראות בשלום.
אז צריך לשים גדר מסביב, משהו...
יהיה בסדר. שמעת עליך. אני עליך במיוחד.
עלייך?
כן. עיסאווי פריג'.
עיסאווי, אתה רוצה להישאר פה בערב? אל תשקיע לפחות.
אין לי בעיה. רוצה להתערב?
נשאר פה עד שיהיה חושך.
בסדר, גמרנו. בסדר. גמרנו. אני פשוט רוצה להשקות את כולם.
כולם?
כן, אין בעיה.
אבל אין מספיק.
או מרץ?
תאיוש.
מה?
תאיוש.
תאיוש, מה זה?
תאיוש זה קבוצה של ערבים ויהודים. אנחנו התחלנו בלתת סיוע לכפרים בסגר בשטחים. עובדים עם הבדואים במקומות הלא מוכרים. אנחנו חושבים שהשלום זה לא רק אפשרי, זה חובה וזה רצוי. מאמינים בזה.
מתי שאתה שמעת מה שקרה בג'ני, מה אתה חשבת?
לפני חודשיים?
כן.
שהיהודים מתנהגים כמו הנאצים. הם מכחישים את השואה יותר מאשר כל אחד אחר במעשים שלהם.
אתה חושב שכל הפליטים יש זכות לחזור לכפר שלהם? 48?
לא, אי אפשר. אבל ישראל צריכה לקחת אחריות על הפליטים ולעשות את המקסימום שאפשר בשביל לרפא את הפצע.
למה אי אפשר, אתה חושב?
כי חלק רוב הכפרים נהרסו ובנו עליהם מקומות אחרים. אבל אני, אם זה תלוי בי, אז הייתי, איפה שכן אפשר, הייתי בונה מחדש
הקו הביטחון שלנו, אם אנחנו הולכים מפה, הם בתל אביב מחר. אז אנחנו נצטרך לצאת גם מתל אביב. ישאלו את אותו שאלות. עוד חודש בתל אביב. אז נלך מתל אביב, לאן נלך? לים? לא דבר.
על מה? הם טוענים שביום כזה שמתו אנשים, מה אנחנו מפגינים.
כן, איפה את ענית?
ואני אומרת, דבר ראשון, הם אומרים לי, ואם היה מת הבן שלך, אז לא היית מפגינה. אמרתם, אתם לא יודעים מה המצב שלי, ודווקא בגלל זה שמתים אנשים צריך לבוא להפגין. כדי שלא ימותו אנשים נוספים. זאת הנקודה. אבל הם לא רוצים לשמוע. They stole the property of someone else's property.
מה הפתרון, את חושבת, בשביל שרון?
הפתרון של שרון או הפתרון שלי?
שלך.
הפתרון שלי זה שתי מדינות, לשני עמים. קו הירוק הוא הקו המנחה. אתה יודע מה זה קו מנחה? The leading, the guidelines. The green line is the guidelines. And the rest is according to agreements. You know, if some settlements, big settlements will remain, the rest will be uprooted, taken. And Gaza should be cleared from settlers. מה?
פליטים של 48.
48. תראה, יצטרכו לעשות להם, תהיה במדינה הפלסטינית, תהיה הפתרון שלהם. ויצטרכו לעשות איזשהו פתרון, להגיע לאיזושהי הסכמה על פיצויים. תראה, אם שואלים היום, עשו סקר במחנות פליטים ברמאללה, ושאלו אנשים, חכי שירי, אל תבוא. שאלו אנשים, אתה איתי? שאלו אנשים, פליטים, דור שני, מה דעתכם? אז אמרו, אנחנו לא רוצים לחיות במדינת ישראל כמיעוט. הבנת אותי? כן. אנחנו רוצים לחיות רוב במדינה הפלסטינית, אנחנו רוצים פיצויים, ואנחנו רוצים הכרה בינלאומית וישראלית בעוול שנעשה לנו. למיסצ'יף, זה לא העוול. אז זה מה ברגע שזה, אם מדינת ישראל תהיה מספיק חזקה כדי לומר, היה פה עוול, גורשו אנשים, אז אפשר יהיה להגיע להשלמה. אבל מדינת ישראל לא מוכנה להכיר בעובדה שיש לה חלק ואחריות בגירושם של האנשים, וזאת חלק הבעיה הנפשית. הנפשית, לא הפיזית. הבעיה הנפשית היא בעיה קשה מאוד. הבעיה הפיזית ניתנת לפתרון.
ודברים מעניינים, השנה פילוסופיה של הביולוגיה. מאוד מעניין. זה לא בסדר, הוא נגד המדינה, הוא היה נגד, כל הזמן הוא אמר לצאת מכל השטחים הכבושים, כל הזמן, מ-67, והוא דתי, יואיצ'י הוא בן אדם דתי, אתה מבין? אז כולם חשבו, אז אמרו לו, מה? לצאת גם מירושלים? הוא אומר, גם מירושלים. גם לעזוב את הכותל המערבי, הוא עם כיפה, לעזוב את הכותל המערבי, הוא אומר, להרוס את הכותל המערבי. לא לעזוב, להרוס. אז אמרו לו, מה זה? הוא אומר, מה זה, אבנים? אנשים משתחווים לאבנים? זה היהדות? מה אתם מדברים בכלל? להרוס את הכותל. אחר כך הוא אמר, אפשר לעשות מהכותל דיסקוטק. שמה יהיה, כולם ישמחו. אז תשמע, כשהוא היה צריך לקבל את פרס ישראל, אז קמו צעקות, זה לא מגיע לו. רבין אמר, אני לא אבוא לטקס. רבין צריך לחלק את הפרסים. כן. 10 פרופסורים מהאוניברסיטה אמרו, כשיהיה היום שהוא צריך לקבל את הפרס, אנחנו נשכב על הכביש, שהאוטו שלו לא יוכל לעבור. אני רציתי שהם ישכבו על הכביש!
10
אני רציתי שהם ישכבו על הכביש! בסוף לייבוביץ' אמר, טוב, אתם יודעים מה? אני לא אקח את הפרס, הוא לא צריך את זה. אבל אני אמרתי, למה הוא אמר לא? היה יותר טוב אם הוא היה אומר כן, והם היו שוכבים על הכביש. הפרופסורים האלה, הם הטומטמים האלה, האידיוטים האלה. אבל מגיע לו, תשמע, האיש הזה, הנה, הבאתי לך את הספר שלו, תקרא, זה משהו.
I want to ask your idea about הסכם עכשיו חורכים בין אש"ף וישראל.
Well, that's the first step of a very long route to peace. But the first step has been made. That's very important. And I confess I didn't believe that the government of Rabin will make this step. But they did. That's the first step in the right direction. Which means today there is a chance for peace. And I was very pessimistic. I didn't believe that this government will make it. But they did. Nevertheless, it's only the first step.
And on the question of Jerusalem, does it present problems to you?
It's included.
But to you, does it present a problem?
Not only Jerusalem presents a problem. The entire country presents a problem. And I believe that the final solution can be only partition.
Partition
Partition.
of Jerusalem.
Partition of this country between the state of Israel and the state of Palestine. It's inevitable.
The partition will
Or
include...
it's a fact that is beyond theory, beyond ideology, even beyond faith, that in relation to this country, do peoples do exist? Each of them the deepest feeling that this country is their home. And this fact cannot be abolished. Therefore, there is no other solution, which means for both parties, for each of the parties, renounce the claim to have their statehood within the framework of the entire country. Each of them can have the statehood only in a part of this country. We do have it since 45 years, but since the last 26 years, we have domination over the entire country, and that's impossible. Impossible to maintain it, because other people does exist. It's a fact. Certainly also the so-called Palestinian Pact, which claims to have the entire country as Palestine, also cannot be realized, because the Jewish people also exist. Therefore, there is no other solution than partition. And the problem in Jerusalem must be solved within the total agreement of partition.
Partition of Jerusalem is a possibility?
Maybe even partition of Jerusalem. The problem of Jerusalem is very difficult from psychological reasons. And as Jerusalem, there is a fact, Jerusalem is a Jewish majority, not in consequence of conquest, you know. Jerusalem had a Jewish majority even in Turkish times, 100 years ago. Nevertheless, it's not a Jewish city, but a city of Jews and Arabs, even if the Jews are a majority.
How do you think what's happened now in the settlement in Judea, Samaria?
Well, that's a great, our internal problem. May I remind you, Jude had for a long time the desire to dominate Korea and to dominate Manchuria.
The same, you think?
It's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because between Japan and Korea there is the sea, and there is no sea between us and the Arabs. Therefore, our problem is much more difficult. Nevertheless, I believe, I can say for certain, but I believe that the Japanese are quite happy being liberated from the task of dominating Korea. It wasn't the liberation of Korea, it was the liberation of Japan.
So same thing you want.
And here's the liberation of the state of Israel from the territories.
I see.
So the great French statesman Charles de Gaulle liberated France from Algeria. To liberate France from this cursed task of dominating another people. It's possible that the two states will agree on some common actions, every common economy, communications, but nevertheless, both peoples must have their political independence.
For your idea, what is the best thing for Jerusalem? What is the...
As I told you, the problem of Jerusalem can be solved only within the frame of a total agreement.
Yes. You think also we have one choice, like 47 United Nations agreement decision that Jerusalem is under control of...
Well, that's that. It never was realized. Even nobody tries to realize it. There must be a new agreement on partition between Israel and the PLO. PLO representing the Palestinian people.
I heard that you against occupation from the first day of occupation, 1967.
Yes. A brilliant military victory, 1967, was a political and historical disaster for the state of Israel. Because it turned the state of Israel into a power dominating another people. And that's a curse.
I'm doing this as a societal political activity. I think that I have a duty as a citizen to convince other citizens, other soldiers that are citizens here in Israeli society, that this war is not our war and that they can disobey and refuse to go to take part in occupation acts. And so I'm here because I think that I have a duty as a citizen to convince other people that there are other solutions to this conflict with the Palestinians, and that this war is not our war. It's the government war. It's the right-wing war. It's not our war. I mean the democratic citizen of Israel. First time that I refused, it was during the Lebanon war. I was in the war as an officer, and in the war I decided that this war is not only not moral, basically not moral, because all wars are not moral, but it's not justified war. And because I believe that only defense war are justified, when I heard and I saw that the Lebanon war was really a war by choice, I mean, the government decide to make a war not because they have to, they want to make new rule in Lebanon, I decided not to take part and I refused, and in March 83 I spent a month in military prison. I'm not telling them to do anything. I'm just giving them information, telling them that they have other alternatives not to take part. In the last week there were two regular soldiers in prison for refusing to go to the territory. It's possible even to regular soldier to refuse and not to take part in occupation or oppression acts. Just to think that this 18 years old boy or a girl that served there going to live 40, 50, 60, 70 years with the feeling that he was part of evil. I think it's easier to refuse than to live with this notion and this feeling that you were part of occupation. All the material that we are giving them, it's not to tell them you have to do something like that or you have to do something like that. We're just trying to give them material for thought that they will have to find and to define their red lines, the lines that behind it they will not go. We are, as a soldier, are not refusing to pass the green line. Some of us decide not to cross the green line and serve in the territories. Some of us serve in the territories but not willing to take part in repression acts. They're willing to go to train there or things like that. We are not saying you have to do that or you have to do that. We're only saying, hey, soldier, think. You are going to be part of something. Think before you are taking part in it. Decide what are you willing to do and what you are not willing to do. We know in 83, after 50 or 60 soldiers were in prison during the war in Lebanon, the commander-in-chief, Moshe Levy, at that time, said that one of the reasons that Arens, the Secretary of Defense, thought to think about withdrawal from Lebanon was the number of soldiers who refused to go to Lebanon. During the war of Lebanon, 180 of our members were in prison. But we know that 3,000 soldiers signed the petition not to go to Lebanon. During the Intifada, around 200 of our members went to prison. We know that around 2,500 declared that they will refuse to go. So I think the number of people, the number of soldiers in military prison is just indicator to the government and to the society about that this kind of solution will not work anymore because there are more and more people who will refuse to take part in it. I talked this week with two new soldiers who decide, reserve soldiers who decide not to go to the territories. This is something new again. More and more conversation with mothers and fathers of soldiers who called me and tried to ask me to talk with their children. I mean, I got a lot of funny calls and a lot of very important calls. I feel that more and more people feel that this solution of refusal to go to take part in this war, this option will become more and more popular, and more people will do it. And as I remember, it was Mao Zedong who said that the long march start with a small, how you say tzad, a small step. But I'm not really familiar with his writing, so we know in the last months about 3 regular soldiers who were in prison for refusing. 1 Druze soldier who said that he's a Palestinian and is not willing to take part, and another 2 Jewish regular soldiers who decide not to go to serve in the territories. I know at least around other 10 reserve soldiers refused, but nothing happened to them. So we don't know the numbers because the army choose not to send people to prison nowadays. During the Intifada, we know that around 200 soldiers were imprisoned. On our declaration of refusal, we had something like 2,500 soldiers who signed it, and most of them were not in prison. People like me. I was in prison in '83 for refusing to go to the war in Lebanon. I refused all the years to be part of occupation forces, and I'm still in the reserve. I'm major in the Israeli army. I'm still doing my reserve duty, and they know that I'm not serving in the territory, so they're not sending me. So
why they prefer not to send you to the jail?
Because if I will serve, they can enjoy 34, 35 days of my working there, and if they are going to send me to the territory, I will be in the prison. They cannot use me. I mean, this is a way to use me in a better way for them. They know that I will refuse. They know that I'm refusing. They know that if they send me to the territories, I will go to prison. So they decide not to
This
send
is
me
a chaos. Every soldier will decide where he is going, where he is not going. This is a craziness. This is an army.
This is the army of a democratic society in which its soldiers know what is immoral to do. My refusal is to take part in occupation. My refusal is to take part in repression. My refusal is to take part in a war that is not justified. So it's not that everyone can say or can do what he wants to do. If a soldier will come and tell me I will refuse, I will ask him, why are you refusing? He will say, I'm refusing because it's against universal values like democracy, like equality, like freedom, like you don't want to be part of occupation of other people. This is a democratic argument. The justification is democratic justification. That's why I will accept every refusal based on universal values, based on democratic values, and I will not accept somebody will say, I'm refused because I think that we have to kill more Palestinians. I will refuse because I think that we have to destroy Gaza. The justification is different. I think that every soldier in a democratic state army should know what is its limits. Every soldier should have limits. Every soldier should have things that he knows that are right to do and wrong to do. And I hope that more and more Israeli soldiers will define this war as immoral, unjustified war, and they will refuse to take part in.
And I came with my family to Israel. We immigrated here in 1965 when I was 5 years old. And I began Zochrot, the initiative of Zochrot, about 5 years ago. In fact, it came to my mind when I was traveling or doing tours to a place named Canada Park, which is a park built on ruins of 2 villages that were destroyed in 1967. In 1967 war, there were destroyed 3 villages around there, around Latrun area, and on top of 2 of them, or the ruins of 2 of them, the Jewish National Fund created a beautiful park since the 70s, and I'm interested very much in landscape, in the construction of the landscape, mainly of course in Israel, in the context of the destruction of Palestinian villages. And I visited this place many times, I researched it and I learned about it, and I took many groups to see this place. And I showed them how the landscape is constructed, and I showed them the ruins of the villages, and there are many signs in this park telling what was there in this area, and it tells about the Jewish history of the place, the Roman history, Byzantine, Ottoman history, but says nothing about the Palestinian villages that existed there hundreds of years. And so I showed this to people visiting there, groups, mainly Jews. And one day after one of these tours, it came to my mind that we have to do something about it. And I just thought, because I was working not far from there in Neve Shalom village, perhaps you know Neve Shalom. So I was working there, and it's near the place. So I was thinking that I can come here in the way to my work, and I can come there and just post signs. It's very simple signs. I was thinking at the beginning, just very simple plastic sign or something, indicating the existence of these villages, the names and so on, Yalu and Amwas. And so this idea came to my mind, and I started to talk about the idea with people, with friends, and they thought it's a very interesting idea. But then, of course, we said, okay, these are 3 villages there, but there are hundreds of villages all over Israel. And then, of course, I connected this idea to the idea of the Nakba, and something that I heard about it, but I knew very, very little then. And I knew that we don't know. I was quite aware that we know very little about it. And I can tell you that there is one also personal story that about my own ignorance about it, is that I was raised in a kibbutz named Bachan. When I came from Argentina, my family settled in a kibbutz, Bachan, and we were living there and until I was 27 years old, since 5 years old to 27. And during my youth, my childhood, I went many times to visit a place not far from the kibbutz, which the name of it is Kakun. I don't know if you heard about this name, Kakun. I recommend you to see it because it's related to your work. And it was a barren hill, just about 2 or 3 kilometers from the kibbutz I was living. Very nice place. And there were these cacti, those bushes, sabr bushes there. And so we went there, we picked up many times, we picked up sabrs. And then I was, and what I knew about it, that the name is Kakun, and it was a Crusaders' fortress, because it looks like a fortress. We never really learned about it, but we came many times to visit there. Once we even organized a very big ceremony there for the whole kibbutz, something very interesting that I really have to go back to it, but it's not so easy for me personally. But then, about I think 4 years ago or 5 years ago, when I became interested in this history of this destruction of the villages in Israel or in Palestine in 1948, I was surfing in the website of the Nakba, about the Nakba, and in one of the sites I saw this district of Palestine, and there is in the middle of this, in the center of the district of Tulkarem, I saw the name Kakun. And I was surprised because I said, Kakun, what it has to do with the Palestinians? And also the name doesn't sound it's not a Palestinian name, it's not an Arabic name for sure. And then I clicked with the mouse, I clicked on the, and I was amazed to find out that there was a Palestinian village with about 2,000 people living there up until 1948. There was even a very important battle there because the Iraqi army, it was the most western point, geographical point, that the Iraqi army came into Palestine. And there was a very hard battle there, and they were killed, of course, many villagers and soldiers and so on. And I was amazed that I never knew about it, and I know that I was very curious boy, and so I was okay. I was normal Israeli, but I was more than the average, I think, in my curiosity, and I was amazed to find out that I knew nothing about it. And then I understood. It was about the beginning of Zohrot when we started, and I understood that how it's so strong in us. And then after I tell this story to many people, and also I get more or less same stories, similar, from many other people. This experience of many Israeli Jews that live here and know very little about this country, and suddenly we discover things. It showed me very, very strong how it's, the ignorance about our really place. It's very, very big, and for me it has a direct connection to the conflict today, because people think that the conflict today is about the Qassam shoot on Shderot or missiles on Kiryat Shmona, and they think, this is the conflict, and they don't understand that the conflict began mainly in 1948 after the expulsion of the refugees of the Palestinians. So I think this we must know and address it and acknowledge and so on. We began to work about 5 years ago, and what we mainly did in the beginning and until today, I think it's one of the perhaps the most important part of our work, is we organize tours to those destroyed Palestinian villages. Usually, or we try, I think until now we succeed in all these tours. We listen to testimonies during the tour of Palestinians that were expelled from those places. And in these tours we post signs. On all the tours, like for example this one is for this Saturday, the signs that you see in your back are signs that we're going to use this Saturday in Tarshiha, and we're having a tour there. And the signs are telling the former names of places, for example of streets or neighborhoods or just places, or the name of the village, and because those names are not there, they are not on maps. They are in Israel, of course. They are not on maps. They are not in signs in the roads. They are not in the streets. They are nowhere. So this village the village is there, but there is no sign for it, no indication. So we post the signs, and also what we do is we publish booklets. For example, this booklet that is about Ramle, and we published already about 19, I think, 19 now booklets, 19, yes, booklets that we publish in Hebrew and Arabic. And these booklets, we collect testimonies from Palestinians that were expelled from those places, and also we add some maps and photos and research material. But the most important part that we contribute is the testimonies that we collect in video, and we write them and so on. So in these tours we try to bring as many Jews as possible, because we are focusing mainly on the Jewish public in Israel. Of course, are coming Palestinians too to the tours. Sometimes more Palestinians than Jews, but of course we are very happy for that. No problem. But we are focusing very much on the Jews because we believe that this is the audience to be targeted, and also we are mainly Jews that started this organization. It's not a Jewish Arabic organization. I mean, we have Palestinians in our staff, but it's not in the classic those organizations that they are half Jews, half Arabs, and all this. It's not about this. We are. Our goal is to address Jews, to take responsibility, to know and to take responsibility on what we did in the Nakba in 1948. It's not all our guilt or responsibility. It's not only the Jews' responsibility, but we have a lot of responsibility about it, and we think we must bear this responsibility. So this is one thing that we do, those tours. Another thing that we do, we work in education in different ways. In education, we work with teachers. We formed groups of teachers that, and now we are building with them kind of a kit to teach and to study the Nakba, to teach the Nakba in schools in Israel, in high schools in Israel. So we are forming kind of a kit now to teach it. We have a website in Hebrew, which is the first quite comprehensive website about the Nakba with a lot of information about the Nakba, and of course also documenting our work. We have here lectures. We have once a month lectures in different topics, but all related somehow to the Nakba. Everything. What else? We do all kind of events. We do things outdoor. I mean, things outside. Not only the tours, but also commemorations. For example, the commemoration of the Nakba Day we do in Tel Aviv. Always in Tel Aviv, in the center of Tel Aviv, we do commemoration of the Nakba Day. Also in the Independence Day of Israel. The Independence Day of Israel, we commemorate the Nakba, which is very important contradiction to the independence of Israel, the Jewish state, and so on. We commemorate also the massacre in Deir Yassin. 3 years already that we are doing this. So yes, so we are trying to do all kind of.
How many villages already you went and you put signs?
That's a good question. In some of them we went many times. In one of them we went, I think, I don't know how many times, 6, 7, I don't know, and even more because we came many times with groups there, special groups. But altogether, the villages that we did on those big tours, I think more than 20 for sure. And we post signs, I don't know how many. Signs that we posted, there were more than 100, I guess. And they all been removed. All the signs are being removed. People don't want to see them. Another thing that we do, and we did a very important thing, I guess you heard about it, we did this struggle to post signs, legal signs, in Canada Park. That we force the JNF, in fact, by the Supreme Court, a petition to the Supreme Court that we submitted, we forced them to accept and to post signs that indicate the existence of Yalu and Emuas, which in a way was for me, Zochrot began in a way in Canada Park, and we eventually made it to post the signs there legally. Something else that we do, we submit objections to building plans in Israel, because there are many building plans in Israel that are destroying the ruins of the Palestinian villages. So we did it in Lifta, about Lifta for example, and now there is one about Yahud, Abbasiyeh, not far from Tel Aviv, also very beautiful place with remains. I don't know if you filmed it, but it's not far from here, it's very beautiful, and it's going to be destroyed in a few months, and we submitted an objection to the building committee, the planning committee. Yeah. So yes, I think so many of the people, as I said, are not happy with what we are doing. They are being disturbed, but there are other reactions also. There are people who are happy for it. People that are interested very, very much in what we are doing. We get more and more people that want to come and to see and to know the places. Look, for example, if people want to know about one of the villages, the story of the village, it doesn't have any way to do it in Israel. You know, for example, if I live in the center of Tel Aviv, and I know that here, not far from here, there is Sumail village. I think I saw it in one of your pictures. Sumail village, it's just here, 500 meters from here. Now, if I want to know the story of Sumail, I don't have too many. I'm not saying me, Eitan, but the one who live in the street. People don't have possibility to know the story of Sumail. So if we organize something about Sumail, this will be a good opportunity for people from Tel Aviv to know about it. So there are many people who are interested about this, about their history, about our history, geography, and so on. Even though not many of them are really agree with us, with our political views, for example, because we support the right of return of the Palestinians, and of course this is a very sensitive topic in Israel, and it's a very small minority that support it, but yes, we support it, and so even people that don't agree with us can join us and can come and see, the things that we have here and join the lectures, and it's open for everyone. So
I want to know more about right of return. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the most point that people are angry and people are afraid. Yes. How do you describe it to the people?
Yes, it's very interesting. Look, first I want to say that I think yes, there is a very big and intensive work, I would say, from the government, the media, politicians, writers, everyone against it. And not even, I would not say even against the right of return, even against talking about it, even against dealing with it. People don't explain why they are against. They just say this is the killing of Jews or throwing us to the sea, all kind of, it's not rational. There is no debate about it. And I think, I just want to say one, as I see it, there is a very deep reason here. It's not just something that people don't accept just like that because they don't like it. To accept the right of return means that these people were expelled from here. And when you start to count how many people were expelled from here, how many places were destroyed that have the right of return, you come to the conclusion that what we did was very, very wrong. And it's so big, this wrongdoing, that it's, I would say, undermine the moral and the political establishment of this country, of this state that we are living in. And we are physically living, we are with our body, we embodied this wrongdoing. We live here means that we throw someone else from his house. Now, to accept this, it's very, very, very uneasy thing. Not easy thing, it's very, very difficult. It's, I would say in a very psychoanalytical point of view, it's very, very difficult. You have to accept that you were born in a sin, in a way. And this is not easy thing to anyone to accept. Now, what we try to do about it, we have kind of position or a view that, first of all, we accept the right of return. We say yes, we have to deal with it, we have to learn about it, and we have to accept the right of return. Because we understood that there is no way you can acknowledge the Nakba and say, yes, you were expelled from here, not in a just way, and now, so what? Okay, I acknowledge it and that's it? No. If I did it, and if it's wrong, I think this man has the right to go back, yes, and to see what we do about it. Yes, we have to deal with it and see how we solve it. Now, the thing is that I think, after saying this, I don't think the right way, especially not in Israel, and I think also outside, is to talk about the right of return. But we should do something else, and what we try to do is something else. We try to, in a way, to bypass this problem of right, because I think when you talk too much about right, it's too abstract thing. You say, yes, you have the right to return. Okay, what does it mean? So what we try to do is two other things. One thing is to learn or to teach people or to be aware to the facts, to the stories, to the memories. So to talk about the Nakba, to tell them, look, this happened here, this was the life here before, many things about what was in these places. Not to tell that when we go to visits, to those visits that we go, we don't talk there about too much about right of return. Yes, here and there we say that these people have the right to return, but it's not the main thing. The main thing is to teach people what was there, what their memories, and so on. Because this is very, very powerful, very effective, very efficient, or Israel is very strong. So this is one thing. Another thing that we are doing, it's one new project that we are having now. It's a group of people, of Israeli Jews mainly, we try to deal with real possibilities or different possibilities or models of solving the question of return of refugees. And it's something unique because it's not been done yet, nowhere. There is almost no programs to return of refugees. I'm talking about in general, also outside and also for the Palestinians. If you ask Palestinians, okay, what does it mean? Nobody deals with it. They don't have programs. They don't have, but I'm talking about real programs. I don't say, yes, everyone go back to Israel. This, of course, there's no home there. So this is not a program. I'm not talking about dreams, about wishes, about ideology. I'm talking about real possibilities. And we try to develop, by this group, we met already many times, and our hope is to come out with, in few months, with different models. We don't want to say this is their solution, but we can make it more wide and say we have a different different possibilities of solutions. Probably we are going to say, or we are finding that two-state solution doesn't work because it cannot. First of all, it doesn't work anyway because of the settlement and so on. But also in the two-state solution, like Oslo Agreement and so on, you cannot have return, really right of return, because if the refugees are going back to Palestine, it's not right of return. They have to choose whether they want to return to their homes or to other places and so on. So, but we are going to develop in different models of solutions different possibilities of return in those different solutions. So, and this we want to later to publish and to encourage a debate. So basically what I suggest about it is not to talk too much about the right of return, but to talk about the Nakba, about what's happened and what people remember of it and so on. And the second thing is to talk about possibilities of return. The real possibilities of return in the future, of course, not in the situation today because there's no way to return today, but the possibilities of return. And I believe that these two ways has a better chance with Israelis than to talk directly about return, the right of return, because this is an abstract right. People are just shocked by it or afraid. And if you talk with them about the Nakba, it's something that they can accept. And if you talk to them about possibilities, then you tell them, what does it mean? For example, it means one thing that, of course, we are going to make clear that it doesn't mean that we throw the Jews from here, which this is the propaganda, the Israeli propaganda that says, yes, if they return, we have to go. And we say, no way, of course, we don't repair one thing, we do in another injustice. So, of course, we are not for throwing. And also, I don't think there is anyone who demand this. I don't think there is anyone really demanding all the Arab world that says that Jews don't have to live here. Of course, don't have to live here as occupations, as occupiers, but to live here as Jews, why not? So, this is in general what we suggest.